The Point of View is brought to you by Cowbell Coffee. Cowbell Coffee. Taste it, love it. Kel Charcoal Toothpaste. Kel Charcoal. Happy smile.
Hello, you're welcome to The Point of View. The Point of View is our favorite current affairs program on television. On The Point of View, we select the right topic, we choose the relevant guest, and we ask the right questions. And like we say, we always leave you with some insight at the end of each episode. Tonight on the program, the economy is still the big issue on the table. We are looking at the cedi depreciation and what that means for businesses, the free fall of the cedi. The cedi appears to be responding to gravitational force, moving at a very fast pace. Earlier in the day, we heard that the cedi has become the worst performing currency against the dollar, which means that the Sri Lankan rupee is no more the worst performing currency against the dollar. It is now the cedi. It is not an enviable place to be at all. What is the impact of this on businesses? And today, GUTA carried out its threat to close all stores in the capital. And indeed, that exercise, we understand, has been very, very successful. Compliance rate very, very high. And they are hoping to do so till Monday. Sure. They want this to force government to initiate some reforms in the sector. They say that the depreciation of the cedi is a major issue for them. They also say that the interest rates are so high, and also inflation is also drowning them. And so government must initiate some pragmatic steps to arrest the situation. We don't know how far this is going to go. We don't know how far-reaching this particular exercise is going to go in generating, if you like, the needed response. Government says it's quite surprised that GUTA was able to carry out this threat, at least from the Deputy Trades Minister, Michael Ochiri-Befi. That's what he said. And he hopes that they will return to the shops quickly so that you and I can get products to buy. My name is Selam Adonu, sitting in for a regular host, Bernard Able. We will take a short break, come back, and I will introduce my guest and tell you how you can join the program. Once again, Point of View, you're welcome.
Michelle say, fe.
Different era, better result. Time has changed and time has brought Kel Charcoal Toothpaste, healthy gums, anti-cavity, fresher breath, and it whitens teeth. Kel Charcoal Toothpaste, Sankofa,
Yenchi, Kel Charcoal Toothpaste.
Happy smile.
This advert is FDA approved.
You're welcome back to The Point of View. Tonight, we are looking at the cedi, how the cedi is faring against the major currencies of the world. Indeed, it is the worst performing currency against the dollar, at least from Bloomberg. A number of things have been happening in the economy. The cedi depreciating very fast. Inflation, skyrocketing. And the inflation skyrocketing and a few other things. So this is inflation. This is the inflationary trend for the last 12 months. As you can see, it started somewhere around 10-11, and around October 2021, sometime September, we are hovering around 37.2%. That is quite astronomical. The depreciating cedi has also not been good for the country, and in fact, it is one of the reasons why GUTA is on its protest. So that is the cedi you have there. We started the year somewhere slightly above 6 cedis to the dollar. As we speak, we are above 12 cedis to $1. Surely not so good for traders and people who import, and generally not good for the economy. So the issue about fuel price is also one that is causing a lot of trouble to many people. This is a trend of that starting January 2022, and we see how the trend has been going. It's been rising, and as we speak, petrol sells above 13 cedis per liter, and then diesel is almost 16 cedis per liter. Indeed, industry persons have said that by close of year, we may be heading towards 18, 20 cedis per liter. Not good times at all. Government says that it is doing its best to arrest the situation. Is it taking too long? We will see. So that's the dollar, the cedi versus other currencies. The Sri Lankan rupee, at the time this graph was constructed, was the worst performing currency, but is being overtaken by the Ghanaian cedi. Well, so I have a number of guests to help me in our discussion tonight. We are looking at the free fall of the cedi and its impact on Ghanaian businesses. Courage Boti is a currency analyst, economist, and lead researcher with the GCB Capital Limited. Courage has been a regular voice on Citi FM and Citi TV. You're welcome to the program, Courage.
Thank you, Salom.
All right, so Samson Asaki Awinkobit is also my guest. He's Executive Secretary of the Importers and Exporters Association. He's also been very vocal on matters of the economy, especially when it relates to importers and exporters. You're welcome to the program, Samson.
Thank you very much. Pleasure having me.
Pleasure too. We also have the Honorable Michael Ochri Befi, who is a Deputy Trade Minister. He's been very busy in the last few days dealing with GUTA matters and all. Honorable, you're welcome to the program. All right. Okay, so the cedi, let's start off from GUTA. Samson, I know you have some connection with GUTA, and indeed you support their protest. What is really your connection with GUTA, and why do you support their protest, closing down shops to force government to initiate some reforms to help arrest the worsening economic situations?
Well, good evening to your chairs viewers. Good evening to Honorable Member, Deputy Minister of Trade, and good evening to my brother sitting here. This is the second time we are meeting. I think last week we met at other sister stations. Salom, I must say, my outfit actually has 100%. If I have any percentage after 100%, I would say interest on what is happening within the GUTA fraternity. And if you care to know, when GUTA had their first meeting with the Council of State, where there was a press conference after press conference, there was a meeting between GUTA and National Security, and second day there was a meeting between GUTA and Council of State, and they called off that meeting. Mm-hmm. And that first pending demonstration, I issued a statement that I was totally dumbfounded and disappointed in the current crop of GUTA leadership. It took all, I'm sure your network also called me and GUTA president, and I explained the reason why. I said since 2017 till date, the previous government, most of the policies that they wanted to introduce at that time, we stood on our ground shoulder to shoulder with GUTA to defend the business community. And since 2017, the government took over. They managed to implement all the policies that we stood firm against, that it was going to be a detriment to the business community. And I speak to the issues. And today, I think if GUTA president were to be here, he would give my stone to me. Because all the things that I was saying, that it was going to erode business community, and that the government policies, there was nothing there towards making the business community to grow. And of course, in every serious economy, you have to make your private sector grow, then you can tax them more. But if you are squeezing them, you'll be able to tax them from you eroded their profit, and now you are entering towards the dangerous zone. That is the capital. I said GUTA should look at it once again. And I said that if you go to the market centers, the markets were boiling. And so if GUTA leadership doesn't re-strategize, one day they will be there and the market centers will strike and they will not be aware. Thank God, thankfully, GUTA went back, consulted, and the market was boiling. And so when they issued a statement that was last Friday, that by Monday or Tuesday they were going to have a meeting, and Wednesday they will close the store, I said that is what the right time. I issued a statement on 28th to say, important export association, we are solidly behind them. Because why? One will ask me, why? What is your interest? Our interest is that if you don't clear the goods successfully from the port, you cannot go to the market to do distribution. If you don't bring the raw materials to the port and clear there before you can take it to your factory, could be finished product or semi-finished product, you cannot produce and have water for you and I to be taken, or product, whatever product that they produce in this country. So if you make your port unattractive, you have all the infrastructure, yet people will find ways and means. They will not bring their cargo through your port, and they will take their cargo to other ports and find ways and means and bring it back to the market, sell it, and deny you the government the needed revenue. So make it easy, say that it will be compliance, so that everybody will bring it. Why am I saying this? One of the classic texts in 2017, I applaud hands with them. When they came, the first government, they said they will abolish the taxes, usual taxes. They abolished the 1%. It was good. But half year, mid-year, which you have mid-year budget review, isn't it? The government came back and said, look, we reversed the 17.5% VAT back to 3%. And at implementation, I was happy. I thought, that was what we agreed when they met us in 2016. That the budget we work for, when I talk about budget for, if you leave your steel room here and you go across the street, maybe you have a container, a lady sitting there with a container, he goes to Makola or Kansi, buy 10 cartons, 20 cartons, and come, he's doing retailing. That such a person doesn't know how and doesn't have the capacity. And I'm thankfully you are here. Cannot do input and output. But you cannot pick company that will claim so many numbers of containers at the port, pay huge taxes to you, pay upfront tax of VAT. Then when he's going to do invoicing at the sales, he will do 3% and you will collect it. He will have to do 70%. But that's 70.5% because he paid upfront tax. At that time, there was no transportation cost on it. There was no labor cost on it. Now he has cleared the cargo. He put it on the truck. He has to pay transportation. He took it to Makola. They are going to discharge it. Boys will come to discharge it. At the end of the day, he will add those costs that he has incurred after clearing at the port. Then profit margin, owner's margin. Then he will then charge, if he's coming, your brother is coming to buy from me, then I'll invoice to him at 17.5. Then I'll take my difference, the output tax. Then I give the two, it used to be between 2.5 to 3% to the government. But government says, what did they say when they reverse the standardized tax back to the 3%? They said they were roping in all, whether you are a wholesaler, whether you are a retailer, whether you are an importer. And I said no. And I demonstrated that to Honorable, the former MP for Eastern Region, who was a finance committee chairman. He didn't contest during the election. What's his name? Esibe. I demonstrated there and there in his meeting. And my friend, a very good friend, who is now chairing the finance committee now, the Obuasi MP,
Kwating.
who was the
Koku Kwating.
who was the deputy minister at that time. He didn't like to see my face because GUTA has supported. And I said, GUTA didn't understand the issues. Someone like Dr. Gisef Obe, he's a big importer. He has a very qualified, certified accountant. He brings volumes. He cannot pay input at the port and come to do invoicing, and you say you take his input at the port. If you do the 3%, you understand he should keep it to himself. You say he should bring it. So now, if you go to Dr. Oben's organization, he's doing both retailing and wholesales. So at the end of the day, he's going to present 2 books to GRA. So they realize that, no, things were not knocking it. So suddenly they say, now we are reversing it back. This year, that's what they did. We are bringing it back. So, and I said, Honorable Barredo did that with threshold. Say maybe someone who started with 50,000, maybe 20,000 to 50,000, should do 3% flat rate. but Secretary moved everyone to 17.5%. I said they cannot do because that container person doesn't understand input and output. So someone like Dr. Ben should be able to do it. So the container man should do 3% because if GRA officer comes to interview the person, they'll know, oh, he makes sales maybe 200, 400 a day, times a week, times a month, they'll know how much, 3%. It is easier, the person will pay. But someone like Dr. Ben, who can do input and output, should take his inputs and the difference you bring it to you. You said no. Now, this year, you say you are reversing everything back. Then you are reversing that, okay, anybody's annual turnover is more than 500,000 should go on the amendment, VAT amendment. That is where they are now pushing, say no. And one danger thing the government didn't reason is that normally, we are in October. If I want to start lifting goods from my supplier for 2023, I will start the negotiation now. So in 2021, October thereabout, people had negotiated with their suppliers to say in January, 2022, I'll start lifting my goods from you. Now in my country, they are saying that if I bring my goods to the port and I'm paying duty, I'll pay the upfront tax VAT at the port. When I'm going to do sales, I should do 3% plus 1% COVID-19 levy, 4%. So I use this to do the negotiation for a whole year liftment. Suddenly, in January, you said no. In December 31st, 2021, when we were going to church to cross all over, you have amended it. You got Parliament to approve and you've gazetted it. You were implementing this amendment VAT that is now including in the pot. If I'm paying duty now, I used to pay VAT plus health insurance straight away and get funds straight away.
Yes.
Now this government say they have all the ideas, so they decouple VAT and get fund to be on its own.
VAT,
They've increased it.
NHIL.
Yes, and national health insurance. They've increased it to 2.5%. This government increased it. They decouple get fund to be on its own. They increased it to 2.5%. They brought COVID-19 levy.
Is it an increase? It used to be 2.5 as VAT.
No, it used
but now
they increased it to 2.5. It used not to be 2.5. It used to be everything used to be 17.5.
Yes, but it was 2.5, 2.5. But that was the component of the VAT.
Good.
But
And I'm
they've
saying
not
that,
decoupled it.
and I'm saying it used to be a whole. If I'm bringing, let's say I'm bringing rice. Rice is 20% import duty. Is that not it? So my invoice value is maybe 100,000. The 20% over 100,000. They add what they got back to the 100,000. So becoming maybe the 20% could give them maybe 30,000. Let's take it 10,000. They add about 100,000, so it become 110,000. I'm using assumption, assuming without admitting. Is that not it? Then they will charge 17.5 straight away. But now it's not like that. They will charge you the 130,000, charge you 12.5%, add it back, charge you 2.5%, get fund, add it back, charge you 2.5% health insurance, add it back, then they take the financial recovery levy percentage, you know that, add it back, then they'll take COVID-19, add it back, and other taxes that we know. Then if I'm coming to the market to make sales again, they are saying even invoicing at you, I should no longer, because my annual turnover is more than 500,000, they have moved me straight away to standardized tax. I should not longer, because I should have done 3% VAT plus 1% COVID-19, which is 4%. Government say no, as like your annual turnover is more than 500,000. So you can no longer do it. You will now do 12.5 at sales, 2.5 get fund, 2.5 health insurance, COVID-19 percentage. If you quantify everything, it is moving to like 19.2%. Government is saying, as now with this standard that we've moved you to, you can only take claim of 12.5. If you subtract 12.5 from 19.5, how much is remain?
Around 7.
Good. That who's supposed to hold this? I should absorb it. The business person should absorb it. Then that is a cost. That's why you see, and we are even saying that government should not implement these new taxes on essential commodity like food, like medicine, so that because of this, that is why today if you go to food market, if you go to market, if you go to buy medicine, and I'm sure some statistics have come out. CDD yesterday, one of the researchers said because of this newly tax that government has introduced, had made medicine to be more expensive for ordinary Ghanaians in this country. Med Food 2022 September statistical report said that food went up by 122%. Because of all these taxes that you, then aside that, GRA, when we say, oh, look, you have to engage it properly. Let us explain how the things work for us. GRA put out their staff everywhere. So at point I asked them, okay, that was why the Kumasi strike. And I said, if GRA have so many staff that they can come to Citi TV, all the various organizations to say, we want to implement this, our new tax, then why don't you make our port free, duty-free port, so that if Asaka bring his goods, I just take my goods to my warehouse, you put your staff there, every day I make sales, you collect your duty. Then I've come to the port in somewhere, August, government were using 7.2.
It will not be accurate to say they put their staff everywhere. They have selected places they have put their staff. So it's not like a general situation where every trader or every shop has a GRA person. They know places they put their people, places they think that they may undervalue revenue. Do you
know the places? They were all over Fisher Harbour, Coasters. They were all over Okase, Katamatu. They were all over Edu.
If they have cause to suspect that, why not?
They didn't say they are invading tax. They said they should implement this new program. And the people too are explaining to them how it is eroding their businesses. Now, you know the Kumasi people, they said, you are not telling me that if I come to buy this laptop from you, like you are Francophone, to go and sell, I'm a retailer or whatever, or a distributor. I bought it from you, the wholesales. Maybe you give to me the laptop $100 or 100 Ghana cedis. Let's put it that way. I pay transportation to take it to Kumasi. Maybe my transportation is six cedis or whatever. I add to it 106. Is that it? My margin that I'm going to sell, maybe I add only 2 cedis. You are not charging. You are not taking the percentage from my 2 cedis. That's the interest I'm making. That's the profit I'm making. You are saying that if I add this 2 cedis to this 6 to 800, that is where your 19.2% VAT will come from. That's why the people say no. You are taxing our capital. You are not taxing the profit that he's going to make.
I see.
Then in the port, you were using 7.2 in the indexes, dollar indexes to collect duty from us. We don't know what happened. I have never seen it in this country. It went straight to 9.5. We raised issues that what happened? Did the minister, or is it because the IMF people are in town? Did they say the government should increase the tax or what? Because it has never happened. Either you will see it will be increased, maybe next time, if it's 7.2, it will go maybe 7.3, 7.4. That's how it used to happen. But straight away from 7.2 Ghana cedis that you are using in calculating duty to 9.5. Then the following week, they were shy. They brought it to 9.6. Then this week, when GUTA even sends signal that they will strike, you move it straight whooping from 9.5 to 10.7. That is why I heard that the deputy minister said GUTA betrayed them because they are in good terms with GUTA. They've been discussing, and I asked that the deputy minister was in our meeting yesterday, and I asked the deputy minister, if they were meeting last Friday or last week, and GUTA was there, let's assume GUTA exactly were there, and the finance minister was outside from New York. He joined virtually, like he's going to join. The governor of Bank of Ghana, he claimed he was in that meeting. The minister of trade was in that meeting, and they agreed that they would give a special rate at the port because we are complaining. And at that time, it was 9.6 we were complaining. Why did you move and we heard that these people would do strike on Wednesday? Why Tuesday? You knew very well last week that you would do something for them. Why Tuesday did you move to 10.5 to 10.70?
I see.
That means the government is deceiving them with their white teeth. Within the hat. Within the hat. So if anybody is making the government unpopular,
I need to take a break. Yes. In fact, you've spoken for the first segment, and you've laid out the issues quite well. We'll take a quick break. When we return, we'll speak to Kariboti to also put the issues in perspective for us. I won't go bit something. Asaki has explained the issues from the perspective of GUTA and the importers and exporters, and also sought to give reason why it was important that the GUTA guys are embarking on the exercise they are embarking on. This is the point of view. Don't go, we'll be right back and deal with the proper issues of the cedi itself.
The power
the performance. Concentrated power. Concentrated performance. The partnership of Concentrated Power. So Clean, the official regional partner of Paris Saint-Germain.
Dad, including mocha, Cabo has 5 flavors: banana, strawberry, chocolate, coconut. What's the 5th one?
Banana.
Banana?
Okay, Dad. Including mocha, Cabo has 5 flavors: banana, strawberry, chocolate, and coconut. What is the 5th one?
Strawberry.
No.
Are you feeling hot?
Honey, including mocha, Cabo has 5 flavors: strawberry, banana, chocolate, coconut. What's the 5th one?
Chocomalt. Hey! Coconut.
Hey!
Nutritious and refreshing, Cowbell has a flavor for everyone.
They think I don't know.
This advert is FDA approved.
You're welcome back to The Point of View. We are live on Citi TV, of course, and on Facebook. You can join the discussion via our WhatsApp line 0550585832. We are looking at the cedi and what that means for businesses, local businesses or Ghanaian businesses. My guest, Samson Asaki Awingobit, who has been speaking and laying out the issues. Kariboti is a currency analyst and an economist with GCB Capital Limited. So, Courage, you deal with currency and you deal with the economy generally. The cedi now is not doing very well. We hear, indeed, it's become the worst performing currency against the dollar. Everything that Samson has been talking about has some root from the difficulty we are seeing at the exchange rate front. How did we get here? Is it a function of poor economic management? Indeed, Bamia some time ago said that if the fundamentals are weak, the exchange rate will expose you. Is that what we are seeing? Is it a symptom of poor economic management? What is causing the cedi to depreciate this badly?
Good evening to you, the listeners, and good evening. I mean, my senior brother here, I think, laid the issues really down, and I can appreciate his passion to discuss them. Yeah, and thanks for the education. I learned a few things here. How did we get here? Some of it, it's been a challenging year, no doubt. I think that statement from Dr. Baumia hasn't quite aged well because it's coming back to roost, really. The chicken is coming back to roost. But I think, just stepping back a bit, 2017, 2018, 2019, and generally the first term of this current administration, you could see a sense of currency stability. Mm-hmm. We've not had past 10% depreciation within that period. Indeed, in the COVID era, when things went south and like every other thing, growth slowed down, every other thing, we still had exchange rate behaving. Mm-hmm. And I think it has been our approach to managing the cedi. You see, we were trying to build the fundamentals from the previous IMF program. And this whole cedi problem, if you remember, somewhere 2014, 2015, it was quite prevalent. If I remember right, we had about 32% also depreciation in some year, I think 2014 or 2015, one of the two. And thereafter, the COVID IMF program tried to correct the balances, and that program, I think, ended somewhere 2019. Yes. From there, we had some fundamentals. You saw inflation behaving well. From 2016, our trade balance started churning out surpluses, even if the current account was still in deficit. And you saw very heavy surpluses on the capital and financial account also. What all of those were reflecting is that we had an economy that was attracting foreign investors that made them come in good quantity. If you remember, I think 2017, somewhere March or early April, after the approval of the first budget of the current administration, there was some bond saga. If you remember, it became an issue with some U.S. investors and even reported to U.S. SEC and all of that. I don't know how that issue ended. But it was that confidence, that kind of optimism that led to foreign investors coming in those quantities. And all through, you've seen them come in good quantity, like buying local bonds. And of course, we go into the bond market. So FS supply on the market in those times were from foreign investors investing in cedi bonds, were from euro bonds we've issued and proceeds going to reserve that we are using to cushion the cedi, and were from the cocoa syndication loans and other bilateral and multilateral loans that we get, plus earnings on our exports and all of that. Fast forward now, we have a situation where it looked like the confidence in the economy has waned. It waned because And I think it's too easy to say it's mismanagement, because I do not think the 2019 economy that ended with depreciation of less than 5% or so, and then a healthy growth rate and stable inflation and all of that was one that was headed for this kind of turbulence. So essentially, you would say that expenditures on the financial sector, which were quite enormous. Figures have been turned around. The most recent I recall is 25 billion. The COVID-related expenditures and energy sector cleanup, excess capacity charges, all of those came, I believe, at costs or monies we did not have and we have to spend. And so necessarily we must do some fiscal consolidation. And so we entered 2021 with a program that sought to kind of bring back consolidation. And even from 2021, when we're about ending the year, I think the IMF did some Article 4 consultation and churned out a number of things, including our debt position, including our fiscal position, and the fact that our debt is approaching a level they will call distressed, and the need for us to implement in their words prudential macroeconomic policies and fiscal consolidation to bring back debt to levels that are sustainable. I think the 2022 budget does not or did not exactly convince investors in that the numbers they saw there, the expenditure projections and then the revenue projections sound just unreal in some sort. And so you saw that from September, when that Article 4 report was released all the way till end of year, you saw repatriations, people moving out and all of that. And those were the signs we all picked up. And so the expectation was that the 2022 budget will arrest that slide, give them some comfort, show them some commitment to fiscal consolidation.
Well, what kinds of commitments could
the commitment will be that, you see, if you are doing consolidation, you practically you are maintaining, if you like, prudent deficits. Deficits should be a bit predictable and the growth should not be astronomical so that your debt will not be become a burden. So if you have a revenue of, say, 100.5 billion as things stand now, and expenditure of 135 billion as things stand now, you are borrowing the difference. So if you want to reduce your borrowing, either you grow your revenue sustainably or you reduce your expenditure a bit. Here, we grew revenue from about 70 billion, or we expect to grow revenue from about 70 billion at the end of 2021 to about 100.5 billion in 2022. Now, the difference is something we haven't achieved in a single year, I think since 2016. And you can date back, we haven't achieved that much growth in revenue, probably except for when we first track oil and stuff like that. And so if you are bumping up your expenditure that much, and yes, you say you want to do a deficit that is lower than the previous year, 7.4, which was lower than what we did the previous year. But then it is based on a certain astronomical growth in revenue. Then, of course, people begin to question your ability to achieve it because you haven't shown that before. Yeah, you haven't done that before. You haven't achieved that much growth before. So people will naturally question you. And worst case, it turned out that the implementation of some of the key revenue policies that they introduced in the budget actually delayed. E-levy, which was supposed to bring 6.9 billion, as at half year, did less than, less than 50% of the target. Way less, to the point we have to revise even the target downwards much significantly. Things like we propose to increase the fees and services at the government institutions, agencies for government services by 15%. That policy was approved, I think, in July 2022. the review of the exemptions bill that was approved, and I think is still yet to be assented to, and a number of other revenue initiatives that delayed. So already it confirmed the doubts investors had that your revenue assumptions are unreal and you would have fiscal problems. So they, as they can, when they can, they were moving their monies out of the system. And so I was telling you last time that the data I saw, we saw foreign holding of local bonds reduced from about 34 billion to now about 17.2 billion. The difference is monies that have been repatriated from the economy. On top of that, you are not seeing new investors coming. So that chain of supply from new investors are not coming in. And then you could not go to Eurobond market also because you had multiple downgrades earlier in the year and subsequently in the year, which is practically saying that at the level rating agencies rate your currency, your debt now, your debt is at a level where they feel it's unsustainable, and the next move probably for you might be a default. So we are in a category that they call extremely speculative. And for rating agencies like Fitch, the next move could be a default for you, right? You have the instance where the last two maturities came up without you being able to roll it over, which has been the standard practice.
Very well. Let's just hold it there. Understand the Deputy Minister is on the line. Let's just speak to him briefly and come back to you.
Okay.
Honorable Deputy Minister, Michael Otribefi, I know you've been quite busy with GUTA and all of that. GUTA has laid out 3 issues. They say they want government to arrest the depreciating cedi. They want government to do something about the high interest rate, and government should also work to reduce inflation. What is government's plan, to deal with these 3 very, difficult issues? The traders have closed their shops, and they are going to be doing so till Monday. Today, we understand the compliance was quite high, and many people were surprised that GUTA could marshal that amount or that number of its members to close their shops to the public. What really is government's plan in terms of dealing with the 3 issues they've raised?
Thank you for the opportunity. And I think we have been talking about this issue since morning. And the same issues have been discussed several times. And I guess now my interest has now shifted to the fact that there's a need for us to all, I'm talking about here, all the parties involved, GUTA, TAG, the Ministry of Trade, Ministry of Finance, to see the need for us to work together as one people, fighting to build a country that belongs to us, a country that we are part of. We cannot in any way say or see anywhere that we can develop or build a country by talking too much and unnecessarily, fighting over things that are not necessary. For me, whatever government is supposed to do, government has done. Government is working hard. Government has shown commitment. They can attest to the fact that there has been a number of meetings or several meetings that government has facilitated. We have had discussions so deep. Government has rolled out plans to them. We even told ourselves, I'm talking about the party, that we were not going to speak to the media. Because we were believing or we're trusting ourselves as working together to achieve an objective that will ultimately benefit the country. So for us as the ministry or for us as government, we are still committed to engaging GUTA and other trade union or associations. We are still committed to pleading with them to go back to their shops, open their shops and go about their normal duties to create opportunities for people. These are one of the key things they are not looking at is the fact that in Accra Center or the Central Business District, most people make money, most people make a living through going to pick the goods from these shops to sell and also earn something out of it. So we should not just create unnecessary tension in the system. We should not create problems for the system. We should be able to build the economy together. We should work out these together. I'm talking about tackling inflation, making sure that the cities, the currencies are rested. These are things that we all can do together to ultimately, benefit the whole country. So that's my point on that.
Yes, you spoke about the inconvenience that the action by GUTA is causing the public. Exactly the point they want to make. It's not business as usual for them. For traders who earn a living by opening their shops and selling to the public, to want to close it and lose revenue for the period, that should mean that they are serious. They say they've used a lot of means to get government to do what is right, but it's not been successful. And so this is how they want to drive home the point.
I am telling you in confidence that me, as a deputy minister, I have even engaged GUTA or not less than 4 or 5 times in the matter of 1 month. I mean, they cannot say this anywhere. We have had meetings. My minister has also engaged them at different times. We have met at high-level government officials, meeting them to discuss issues together, pleading with them to even, understand the situation. We cannot be doing everything by telling the public. We cannot. There are things that we have to do in camera. There are things that we have to, discuss in camera, so that we'll be able to find a good solution to those problems. They have raised concerns, and we told them legitimately those concerns. We appreciate, those concerns, and we cannot in any way say that those concerns are illegitimate. We cannot say that, and we have given them. We have rolled out good plans and measures to be able to tackle all those things that they talk about. We have even given out the commitment.
What are some of those plans?
There are a lot of things that have done within this period. They've engaged the ministry, they've engaged the Ministry of Foreign Finance, they've engaged the Ghana Revenue Authority, they've engaged Bank of Ghana, they've engaged the National Security Ministry, they've engaged the Council of State. So what again haven't we talked about? We have discussed everything.
It's been talk. The action is not there.
This. As if you have a motive that we don't understand. That is why a lot of people think that there are other motives that we may not know. Because if the motives are very clear and these motives will inure to the benefit of the country, and government has shown commitment to it, clearly, government has shown good faith.
No, Honorable, I'm not sure about I'm not sure about your point about motive, because they say that their profits are being eroded. The exchange rate, for example, is doing injustice to them. They do not have the power to control the situation. The only thing they can do is to demonstrate to you the way they know how to do.
What I'm saying
so to impugn ill motive, I think will be a bit harsh on your part.
No, I'm not doing that. I'm just expecting. I have never said that. I just expecting that they have to tell us. Because the point is that, you see, if we have had discussion, okay, let me just say this. What will be the consequence? Of this action that is taken.
Maybe to make you think outside the box and bring out solutions.
Government will not engage them. That's why I'm saying that we appreciate their problems. The government position has been that we appreciate their problems, but at the point of always now conceding, begging them, pleading with them to understand the situation. But they have been very strict with us. Taking a very, tough position that they will not want to move a little. That's not too good. When you are having negotiations, you should be able to somehow give out consent, show good faith. We have given out things. We have shown good faith. We have considered some of the things. We have even made effort to be able to take certain things they didn't like. So these are things concessions government have made. So they have to also make some concessions. They have to also make some sacrifices so that we will be able to meet at a good point that will benefit all of us. That's what I'm talking about. So our position hasn't been to defend government. Our position hasn't been to accuse them. Our position has been to plead with them so that we go to the table back again. We go and discuss further. Because this consultation and this engagement is continuous. We cannot end it now. We cannot just finish it one day. We have to continuously talk till we come to a compromise that will benefit both parties. That is exactly what we'll be talking about. with all these student associations that they should go back to work. That's the most important thing. Ghana belongs to all of us. Ghana is our country. We don't have any country above of Ghana. So we have to build this country together. The situation we have found ourselves in now, this cannot solve the problem for us. Positive actions, strikes, demonstrations, and inflected muscles cannot solve the problem. What can solve the problem is sit down. Let's brainstorm. Let's build consensus. Then we agree that this will help us.
I see.
We'll proceed.
Very well. I hope that they've listened, and I hope that they've taken your plea and they will do what is needful. But in the meantime, as far as we know, they are determined to continue the action through tomorrow to Monday.
We are also determined as a government to still engage them even deep in the night to get them to end this action.
Very well. I wish you the very best. Thanks so much for making time to speak to us tonight.
My greetings to the other friends, please. Unfortunately, I was not able to join you.
Very well. We're grateful. Thanks so much. The Honorable Michael Ochibefi, Deputy Trade Minister.
Hello.
Oh.
Hello.
Yes.
I am dismayed with Minister's statement this evening.
No, he's just, what is he saying? What did he say? He just appealed to the protesting traders to get back to work.
He's speaking to a national television. Citi TV is not a mere station in this country. He has said, and the listeners can judge, government has not taken any steps in addressing the issues that has been put before them. The engagement, yes, has been there since. And that's why 2 months ago, you remember, Council of State gave 1 month time to fashion these issues. Up till yesterday meeting, there is no any letter coming from Minister of Finance to say, okay, the issue you present are 6. We have taken 1, 2, 3. Inflation, we are going to do this. Depreciation, we are going to do this. Interest rate, we are going to do this.
The issue, depreciation and interest rates and inflation, these things do not only affect the traders, they affect everybody. So government generally may be trying its best to solve it. So it's nothing special.
Good. So I'm making a statement.
Yes. So I need to take a break though.
So government say we are doing this. So this is the official letter. This is our timelines. Leave it on it. If that timeline comes, these are the date, the very specific date.
Will it be fair to say that government's focus is on engaging the IMF, because that is the main issue now, to churn out a program that will make the IMF give us the money we want.
They said something very fantastic yesterday, and I asked a question. They said they will give us a flat rate at the port from now to, at the Council of State were asking for 6 months. The government said they will do it 3 months. We were asking them 3 months of when, what rate? They couldn't tell us anything.
Very well. Let's take a quick break. Some of your messages have come through. We will read them, including this one that I want Carrie to answer when we come back. He said, "Hi, Salom, I want to know from your guests at least 3 items that draw the chunk of our USD and hence putting pressure on our currency. Can we produce these 3 items locally?" Kwesi Plange, send that in. We will return, answer this question and some more. Don't go away.
The power, the performance, concentrated power, concentrated performance, the partnership of concentrated power. So Clean, the official regional partner of Paris Saint-Germain.
Hubtel presents Fresh Anguamo with all the great delights. Fufu in a flash with koto, yemadie, and akrantie. Almighty gobe with koko and eggs. Ish. Crispy fried chicken with rice, pizzas, and whatever else you're looking for or need to pay for. Hubtel presents Ghana's most useful app. Hubtel is everything for you.
The two of you. You're welcome back to the point of view. We are discussing matters of the cedi, the way it is depreciating and what impact that is having on local businesses. Something is just alluded to the fact that, or appears to be saying, that they need immediate solutions. I don't know how fast those solutions can come. Courage, you answer that text message though, but you've listened to his concerns, you listened to the minister too. Realistically, are his, demands, or are the demands himself and GUTA are making, solvable as we speak? Are they easy to solve? Can they be immediate? Can there be immediate solutions to some of the problems enumerated?
Salom, the reality is that they are legitimate demands. No one will doubt that inflation is hurting everybody. The exchange rate pressure is hurting everybody. And so are the many other stuff they talk about, the tax. Even for us, the consumers, that tax policy has implications for us. And I was excited. He explained to me how the whole process goes. I've always read it, but I think I've seen the practicality of it now. And so the concerns, I will say, are legitimate. But the reality is that inflation has been stable for a long time. In fact, beneath 10%. The things causing the inflation partly is due to the exchange rate, right? Because the pass-through of exchange rate depreciation would always go to prices, and we are an import-dependent economy as well, right? So if you realize the Statistical Service normally publishes the headline inflation, but tells you the component that is for imported items and the component that is for domestically produced items, really. And the imported items are higher, even if you have some news stories telling you that domestic inflation is higher. I mean, we need to disaggregate the data. There is nothing immediately anyone can do about inflation to bring it down. To the extent that for as long as exchange rate is still depreciating, for as long as oil prices are elevated, for as long as we have shocks to food supply on the market and transport fares are feeding into general prices, inflation will remain elevated. The solutions are medium to long term, and that is what I believe we should all be pushing for and getting government to do the right thing. I think what should be problematic and we should all be voicing out now is that, yes, I know government is in a fix. Central bank is financing part of the deficit, which is in itself inflationary. So we add to the problem, and is a reason you see interest rate hikes continuing, even if businesses are crying that interest rates are too high, really. I think we should all find and understand government is in a fix. The government needs to run. But you see, that approach is also not sustainable. So we need to find a middle ground. That is what we should be pushing for at this point in time. Exchange rate, government is not going to print dollars. The best they can do is that what they are trying to do, use the cedis to buy some gold locally and potentially sell it and then improve their reserve positions and all of that. Those are things they can do in the short term. But to the extent that the approach we have used to manage our exchange rate hasn't been one that is sustainable and will always be vulnerable to investor sentiment, we are suffering the consequence of that approach, really. And there is even no quick fix, really. On the tax thing, the VAT thing, government is bleeding on the revenue side already. And I think the demand for that policy to be changed, reverted to the flat rate of 3%, it's something that will be very difficult to implement now, especially when they are negotiating with IMF. And it even looks very improbable in 2023 because with the program, IMF will ask you to boost your revenue. The last thing you want to do is even start cutting from the already existing sources. So we need to just negotiate amongst ourselves, find a common ground. But for its implementation immediately, I feel there could be a huge challenge.
So it's a bit long term. Somebody is asking, what are the three items that take a chunk of our USD and putting pressure on our currency? Will you know that?
Well, so I can say one for setting, and the others would have to look at the data and disaggregate it. I think the Bank of Ghana, the data they publish is an aggregated one. They tell you oil imports and a non-oil import. So non-oil imports are put together.
We can talk of rice,
exactly.
We can talk of sugar, we can talk of frozen food.
Yeah, so oil is the main one. If I remember right,
but it's finished product. Don't forget, we have importing finished product. It's very expensive than bringing crude to refine
the crude. But you see, the problem is our TOR hasn't really functioned continuously for any period, and even their capacity is limited, right? And I have always wondered why, we still spend on TOR to get it working when we could actually, I think the investments we put in TOR to try to rehabilitate it could easily, if you put together, build a new one. Well, we could have a functional, and that is still not government. But it's okay, it's a Chinese person, or so long as it's in Ghana, it helps you a bit. It won't reduce oil price that much because it will still be the crude oil, but at least the things like freight charges and then the other things that come with bringing oil in could actually bring down the price a bit. And so we need to look at that holistically, and especially government can strategically take their lift and then seed it to the local refinery, and then it could even give them room to give some discount on oil. Crude oil price or petroleum price in Nigeria, even if they are still crying, is way significantly lower than it is here. But it is so because of the subsidies.
So talking about dollar, one matter that has been coming up, the whole of the week is what people with dollar-denominated mortgages will be going through now. You do currency analysis.
Yeah.
What if some of these people are listening to us today? What can they do? I mean, the exchange rate is not behaving nicely, but they have to pay their mortgage. So if they were paying, let's say, $300 beginning of the year, I mean, that becomes a lot of cedis before you can get the $300 now. By your salary or your earnings having grown that much. So what should they be doing as we speak?
And that's a problem that even applies to them. You see, we have been preaching, don't price in dollars, but what he's described about the rate Bank of Ghana gives them, or they give them for conversion, is actually a reflection of pricing in the dollar. Because otherwise, why wouldn't you have a fixed rate at your port where you pay to clear goods and it has to be pegged to a certain exchange rate? So even the government, who is preaching not pricing in the dollar, is complicit, and it's preposterous, really. And so for a poor guy who decides to take some mortgage loan which is priced in dollar, you would have said that the Bank of Ghana to ensure that all banks price in the local city. But if the government itself is doing this, then it becomes, because by no fault of yours, cedi has depreciated by close to 50% this year, and so your probably mortgage monthly payment has doubled.
Inflation is about
through no fault of yours, really. And there is nothing you can do if it's a fixed rate contract. If it's a flexible rate, you could assume that probably if things improve, maybe it could change. But it's a fixed rate. Unless your bank is willing to sit around the table with you and renegotiate terms, you are locked in it forever. Some people might even lose their homes. And so government needs to look at that. I don't understand why duty will be priced.
We've run out of time.
So let me get some seconds. The Bank of Ghana knows that many Ghanaians go to China. Why don't you make China yuan available in our banks?
So it's available. That discussion came up some time ago.
Yeah, but what quantity is there? The Bank of Ghana knowing that I upload foreign to commercial banks. Commercial banks.
But how much of a solution would that be?
Banks, let us stay within commercial banks. Don't let the money go to allergies. This commercial bank.
But recently, government started clamping down on the allergies or the black market
that they seize. What happened to it? Have you heard anything about it?
Well, I'm sure the courts or the law.
Was it the suit nationwide or was it?
I'm sure the law. I'm sure the law.
People are delivering dollars to the homes of people to take money. I mean, I think the effort about FX management and the rules around it hasn't been a serious one. The fight about illegal stuff hasn't been a serious one. Because you could easily sit here if you had known Al-Analaji, call him to bring you dollars and come and take it.
Very well. Guys, we've run out of time. So this is how we conclude our program for today. Thanks so much, Samson Asaki Awingobi, the Executive Secretary of the Importers and Exporters Association, who supports GUTA in their protest. And then Courage Boti, currency analyst, economist with GCB Capital Limited. We also had the Deputy Minister for Trade, Honorable Michael Ochri-Befi, also talk to us on the matters. Tomorrow, GUTA continues its protest, and they say they will do that till Monday, so government thinks outside the box and brings out some solutions. My name is Salom Adunu. Thanks so much for watching. Keep watching Citi TV. It's your world.
The Point of View is brought to you by Cowbell Coffee. Cowbell Coffee. Taste it, love it. Kel Charcoal Toothpaste. Kel Charcoal. Happy smile.